Following news that Donald Trump canceled a meeting with Taliban leaders at Camp David only days before 9/11, some of his old tweets toward Barack Obama have resurfaced for good cause. Now, Trump was very critical toward Obama when it came to negotiating with terrorists. And I want to read some of those tweets to you. This is a tweet from January 13th of 2012. Trump had tweeted, while Barack Obama is slashing the military, he's also negotiating with our sworn enemy, the Taliban, who facilitated 9/11. That wasn't the only tweet. There were several of them. I'm not even gonna read all of them to you, but one other one.
Slashing the military like in an alley, like shivving them. Not even including the budget part.
Pathetic Barack Obama is sweetening his offer to the Taliban. And then he said, read The Art of the Deal. You know, a little plug for his book. So it goes on and on. Look, what I found fascinating was the damage control we saw from Mike Pompeo the morning after Trump had tweeted about the meeting falling apart. And so let's go to the first video. Here he is speaking to Jake Tapper, and Jake Tapper asks him, what if this was Obama?
I can't help but think that if a Democratic president had talked about having the Taliban come to Camp David to negotiate a peace process that was not already a done deal, that you as a congressman, as a soldier, as a veteran, as a West Point graduate, that you would be rather upset.
Yeah, Jake, you're just wrong about that. I've been fully supportive of this effort. The direction that we have taken at the State Department, the effort President Trump has given us guidance to go deliver on is something I think is important, it's valuable. I think the timing is just right. We'd made enormous progress. I know who the Taliban are, and I know who Al-Qaeda is, and I've seen that UN report. I will tell you that they describe the Al-Qaeda leadership as being happy about the conditions in Afghanistan. Well, a lot of them are in their graves. And so make no mistake about it, we will continue to punish, we will continue to pound, we will continue to fight, we'll continue to protect the American people. We will never construct a deal. If I was worried about Barack Obama and President Obama, it was because he was prepared to leave without ensuring that we could protect America. This administration will never do that.
So that last statement perfectly summarizes one of the reasons why Trump is gonna stay in Afghanistan. I mean, that is the kind of influence that surrounds him in the White House. And at the same time, come on, let's keep it real. We know the situation would be very different. The response from someone like Pompeo would be very different toward Obama if Obama were doing the exact same thing that Trump is trying to do.
But when you say that this is the group that surrounds Trump, it's frankly the group that surrounds both parties.
Yeah.
In terms
definitely.
Of the Blob, what is sometimes known as the Blob, which is the sort of diplomatic and intelligence and military communities within Washington. They have the same mindset that Pompeo just said right there. We can't leave until we've secured the zone, but we have nothing to do to be able to do that. So we're just not going to leave.
So we're just gonna punish and pound them.
Because it's gotten us very far. So.
And using a soldier's death as an excuse is actually kind of offensive to the memory of that soldier, because it has nothing to do with one tragic event. It has everything to do with the foreign policy mentality of the United States in a bipartisan fashion. And it does wrong to the memory of the soldier to say that he was the reason, or his death was the reason that we're staying.
Right, and Obama got elected, and there were all sorts of promises when it came to changing foreign policy, changing the course of foreign policy in America. But in reality, Obama expanded Bush-era foreign policy. Drone strikes increased under him. Our civil liberties continue to be violated under the Obama administration. So you're absolutely right. And there is this notion that if you don't play ball with the military-industrial complex, especially if you're a Democrat, you're weak on national security. And that is, I mean, think about it. That is a criticism that's perpetuated by the right wing, and Democrats just fall right into it.
It's because they're terrified of the military-industrial complex, that huge apparatus that you're talking about, which is even more influential in Washington than I think people realize. And what's fascinating to me about how Jake Tapper framed that question is he started it off the exact right way. Isn't there hypocrisy? Would you not be extremely critical if this was President Obama? But then he goes, as a soldier, as a veteran, as a West Point graduate, as if there's something wrong with diplomacy with the Taliban. And that's what's frustrating about the entire media coverage of it. They are anti-peace consistently, and they are anti-diplomacy consistently. That's a bias you see on Fox News, MSNBC, CNN repeatedly. They want belligerence. They were so orgasmic about when Trump dropped that mother of all bombs in Afghanistan, and they're silent, radio silent, that Trump within the first year, I think, in office already surpassed Obama in drone strike civilian deaths in Syria and Iraq. So this is just increasing, increasing, and increasing. And unless we have someone who's a radical in the right sense in office, it's not gonna change, because the power of the presidency in this regard has gotten completely out of control.
And while you thought that Trump might be someone who would reject the sort of establishment consequences of this, because his intellectual curiosity only extends to cable news. If cable news is reinforcing what you just said in terms of putting forward a belligerent, pro-intervention, anti-peace mindset, then that's the feedback that he gets, the only feedback that he gets while he's sitting in bed. So
it is interesting though, because if I recall correctly, back when Obama was president and when he did want to do these negotiations and when he was getting criticized from the right wing for being part of these talks, of course Fox News criticized him, but MSNBC was kind to him, CNN was relatively kind to him. They were a lot more in favor of working with and negotiating with so-called terrorists under the Obama administration. But when it comes to Trump, it's amazing to see how those very same cable news hosts change tune, right? Where all of a sudden they're the ones who are like, no, you shouldn't be negotiating with terrorists. This is offensive, this is terrible. But you shouldn't change your perspective on these peace deals depending on who the president is at that moment. And one other thing I wanted to give Trump credit for in a weird way, there are moments where he pushes through the pressures of the military industrial complex. Remember, he was about to do an airstrike on Iran and he called it off last minute. And the reason why he called it off last minute is because he went with his instinct and realized, okay, Pompeo's pressuring me to do this, Bolton's pressuring me to do this. This is not the right way to go about it. And so luckily that wild card component of Donald Trump worked to our favor in that case. But yeah, he is surrounded by people, much like Democratic candidates in the past, by people who want to push for perpetual war, who want us in Afghanistan and pretend as if there's some solution in sight when really there isn't.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.